Hi guys, Natalie here again, talking about what we love, Man United, talking about the months that we love, transfer season. I'm here with Sandra. Sandra obviously works for The Sun, has put a lot of articles out recently about Adriana Leon. It's a name that we've been linked to now. Sandra, just tell us about yourself. Thanks for coming on Only One United. Tell the people if they've never seen you before, sort of who you work for, what you do, how you got into women's football, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm basically a women's football reporter for SunSport. Started working, doing shifts for them a few years ago, but then started working on women's football stuff from 2019-20 season, mostly covering WSL games for them. Prior to, working for SunSport, I was working in a completely different field to journalism, but in my spare time, I was covering men's non-league football for a couple of local newspapers in the South London area, covering teams like Tooting and Dulwich Hamlet. But yeah, that's me. Yeah.
No, great. Obviously, we've seen your articles about Adriana Leon, and I think they first started, and you linked her to, the rumor was that Real Madrid and Barcelona were interested, and I think that got a lot of people sort of saying, "Oh, no, that's not the case." And obviously, like I've spoke to you about sort of when you say something and people don't believe you, is that kind of frustrating because obviously you've heard it. You're not going to just sit there and make up a lie. But I mean, Vicky's just saying her agent's working hard. I mean, what's your take? What do you know fully about? Obviously, because it started off just Barcelona and Leon, and now it seems to be Manchester United and Brighton. So how has a range of teams got involved? Just your view on them.
Well, from what I understand, her representatives have been in talks with officials both at Barcelona and Real Madrid, from what I've been told. And then Man United have also just came into the scene as well, most recently. But then also Brighton apparently have been interested, and I've just been told, that her reps have been in talks with those clubs. But as was reported by the Athletic, she's a huge Man United fan. So I imagine that in terms of where she might be going, I'd imagine she may well want to go to United, but we'll wait and see. We don't know where she's going to end up. But we know that her contract with West Ham, is expiring. So she won't be with them anymore from next season. But it'll be interesting to see whether she'll go to Spain or Madrid, as Lanzell mentions there, or whether it will be that she stays in the WSL. Whether it's possibly going to United or perhaps another club, we don't know. But it'll be interesting to see whether her future lies here in England or in Spain. But I mean, what are your thoughts on Leon?
A lot of people.
Go on.
I think Lanzell speaking for us. I don't think people. I mean, Vicky, the weather's better in Spain, but Harry's boy saying a United fan sign her up. I mean, yeah, it might add a bit of extra kind of being a United fan. She might understand that what our expectations a bit more. Obviously, the club probably are saying they want to do this, they want to do that. But I think she might understand maybe the rivalry straight away. City, Liverpool, we don't like those kind of clubs. So she'll come in and she'll get it. She'll get that kind of thing. Whereas I've known with other players that maybe aren't as big passionate football fans, that they'll sort of be a bit more like, oh wow, I never expect that. Whereas her, listen, Liverpool will get onto that, don't worry. Whereas her, she'll be more like, I get it. Yeah, I want to beat City. I want to beat Liverpool, like sort of straight away. But I think I am worried. I think a lot of fans are worried. I mean, Lanzell saying she's not the level. We can get better. We probably already have better. I mean, in my opinion, I do think Leah and Hansen are better. I get it for the depth, but I wonder, like, I mean, I know, like you say, your understanding is Barcelona and Real Madrid, and I think there is that because I mean, we had Emma Sanders on, and she was talking about interest and different levels of interest and all that kind of stuff. And I think that Barca do have needed. They've lost Leaky Martin, so of course they're going to be looking out there for someone. So I think when people were sort of like, "Oh, it's not Barca," well, it could be because they need someone, and they need. We've seen with Barca that they've not really spent money. They want free transfers. They don't even, so it is likely that it could be. I mean, Harry's boy saying good addition, not replacing Leslie. I think that's. But I mean, what's your understanding, Sandra? I see there's a question for you, and I will. Do you keep a track of players out of contract? It's hard to find out about contracts. I mean, what's your view on that kind of thing? Because some clubs do announce it, but then saying the United now, they're not really everyone's on an option, but they've not announced that. How do you keep and other journalists keep up to date, I suppose, with who's free transfers and who's not?
Well, like you say, just monitoring, seeing, looking back, seeing who's signed what contract when. We know that with some clubs, they don't necessarily divulge. If a player signs a contract, they don't. I mean, Arsenal, for example, are famous for not often revealing how long a player has signed a contract for, whether it's a year, 2 years, 3, and what have you. Sometimes some clubs like to keep their cards close to the chest. But yeah, it's usually monitoring and just seeing who signed what extension, where and when, and are they coming to an end? So, for example, lots of people were asking questions about City's players before the end of the season, because they knew that most of these players' contracts were coming up, coming towards an end at the end of last season. So, yeah, you just kind of, I guess, monitoring and just seeing who's coming to close to the end of their contract, and just, I guess, making contact with, agents or reps and just seeing if you can get any information. But yeah, it's a kind of like that. And I guess it must be the same case with United fans, looking at all your players and seeing, whose contracts are coming up to an end. And yeah.
I mean, Vix is here saying Zellum, Smith and Staniforth, they're the ones that I think most people know. But I think like with Leslie, Honor, Jackie, they've all got options, like potentially sign for an extra year, so they're staying. But obviously, we heard Emma saying about like Leslie's turned down an offer. It's not good for me, United. I mean, what do you, as a journalist, think of United point of view? And I mean, those 3 players there mentioned on the screen, do you think that those will get contracts, or because we've just not heard anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have probably, I know that's not what fans want to hear, but you probably have as much information as me on Zellum, Smith and Staniforth. Maybe Emma might be able to provide you a bit more insight, but it could be that the clubs are waiting for the Euros to be out of the way and then to sort everything out, as to see who they keep, who they can, extend contracts on, or who they can offer new deals to. But I imagine we've seen Chelsea, we've seen City. I know they've been quite busy before the tournament started, and obviously Lucy Bronze is, not that I know you don't want to talk about City, but Lucy Bronze making sure she wanted to get her move sorted before the Euros. So there could be the others that just want to just wait for the tournament to be out of the way, or use the tournament and all the attraction that the tournament is getting as an opportunity to just try and do their work quietly and then announce everything when the Euros are done and dusted. I mean, with United, I mean, interesting, like in Emma Sanders' article, she mentioned that the idea of free transfers. I mean, if Adriana Leon was to move to United, it would be on a free, which, if with the club reportedly working on a budget that's smaller than, what is it, 5 other clubs or 4 other clubs, then of course you have to try and take advantage of free transfers and see, can you get these quality players on a free? Because if that's what if you're working with less than your rivals, you have to, I guess, be smart and clever in that transfer market, particularly when you say more top quality players are becoming more expensive, and the biggest clubs are getting, the best players at higher prices.
Obviously, that article that Emma put out about 5 other clubs, and I think Brighton, I've heard, might have been one of them. Everton, what they did last year, Brighton, what the money that they're putting in to their team, and obviously they're in for Adriana Leon as well. What's when you hear something like that, I mean, Rodney's saying leaving it late, it's a risky approach. Listen, when you hear stuff about Manchester United, it's the biggest club in the world, one of the biggest, up there, Real Madrid, Barcelona, but you look at the way that they do their business, they're getting top quality players in. Even when you talk about City and bronze is gone, but they've worked hard to get it back. I mean, I saw Vicky saying the club's briefed in advance because it seems like we knew that City were going to get in those players, whereas United, it's just sort of silence. And I don't mind that it's silent. It's just, I suppose, the links that we're hearing, we're not really excited about. So what's your view on United? Because I know a lot of people can see it sort of going like a Liverpool. They've burst on the scene. They're up there. They've got this big, massive fan base, and then now they just think that, we made it, but you haven't made it, and then they'll slowly trickle down because everyone's now realizing let's put in money. Apart from them.
Well, I'd be shocked if United kind of drop down the table. I think they'll definitely be in that race for the top 3 next season. They've got the ability is there, like you say. I mean, I guess, like, for example, if they could get in a very, very clinical number 9, that would probably be the thing that takes them, makes them break that kind of barrier into top 3, perhaps. But I mean, I can't imagine a United allowing themselves, even like you say, if budgets are less than 5 other clubs, I can't imagine them, allowing themselves to drop down the table. I can't imagine Mark Skinner wanting that. And given how they've played at certain stages during last season, the ambition will be we want to get into that top 3, basically, more or less, isn't it? So it's. And I know, like you're saying, some people are saying, oh, there's a fear that you're not going to get business done or what have you. But it could be that they might be doing things quietly in the background, and just perhaps we'll divulge stuff later. But there's still, maybe I'm being optimistic, but you've still got plenty of time. I mean, the transfer deadline is 8th of September. So you never know what might happen before then. But then you've also got some good youth players who could. I know you don't want to push your young prospects too quickly, but you've got some good youth players as well who might be, 1 or 2 good additions for the squad. But, I can't see United dropping down the table or, finishing below 4th next season. Well, that's just me. But, I mean, they've given how hard they pushed. And fair enough, people might say, well, it's, City had that, City had a number of players injured at the start of last season, so that probably affected their run, and that probably was why United were in that top 3 for such a long time. But I think United will still be there and thereabouts in that race for a place to play in the Champions League. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think that they are good enough, looking at what they've got, if they do add quality, which I don't know if they will. I mean, Lanzell's saying it's only one signing he's heard. I think he means Lucia Garcia from Spain, that he's heard, that we're linked to, that is excited him. I do worry. My worry is that, there's sort of allowing themselves to sort of, when I read articles, it's not by yourself, Sandra, but by some of it, it's sort of as if, oh, they've done so well, they've been there 4 years, and look at how well they've done, and they're always challenging. And I just feel like we're getting to a point where we're accepting 4th, and 4th is a success. And I know that sounds really horrible because Mark, I did give him this season, and I did say, 4th, but if they're now not backing him fully to go out and get money, because I mean, I don't know if you were on any of his press conferences, but he regularly talked about having to push the top 3, having to invest, having to, players like Sam Kerr and Viv Miedema don't just come overnight. You've got to really push and put money in. And, with him saying that and him then going on about global signings, and then, as the Liverpool fan was saying, Rachel Williams is a name that is heavily, I wouldn't say it's heavily, because I think it's just, well, I've heard it from two sources, well, 3, but I don't know if the third one's independent, but, so you could say that is heavily linked. And then obviously Leon, you've heard that Man United have sort of come in, and it's sort of the free signings. It does worry me. It does concern me, because you see Everton, they've spent 100,000 on Hannah Bennison, and they spent this on this one and that one, and you just think they're spending the big money. But it's not even just that; it's the free signings that. I mean, I heard the other day that Chelsea defender from Leon, we wanted her. That was a defender that could have changed everything for Man United. And I get it, we're not in the Champions League, but our wages weren't comparable. And then Ford from Arsenal, our wages aren't comparable. I mean, Sina Brunn is a player who I think has maybe not set the world alight, but that's the level maybe that you want, and they're not willing to go out and get it. And then they're getting Rachel Williams, and it's just it does make it, Lanzell. I mean, Tottenham have just gone out and got Drew Spence, and I do think the way that Tottenham's set up is hard to beat, is difficult. And now they've added a striker in. They add another one. They're the ones. I mean, I know Everton are spending a lot of money, but I just think that Rhiannon Skinner might be a bit better than Mark Skinner. I mean, what's your opinion on that, Sandra?
Well,
she seems to be getting a lot out of the team, more than I think he is.
Well, it's interesting. You mentioned Tottenham there. Finished quite high up, their highest finish since they've been promoted. But even though she wasn't always fit, Rachel Williams was a key part of that. I mean, that they lost the return fixture against Arsenal towards the end of last season, but they drew against them at home. They came close to winning. So and Rachel Williams played a key part in that game. And even though if she is linked with United, I mean, me personally, I don't think that's such a bad signing. And I know she's not, as young as she used to be, but she's quality when she's fit. And again, it's, in terms of the squad, all that experience, and plus she knows Mark Skinner quite well, and she's a grafter when she's on the pitch. I think she wouldn't be such a bad signing to have. She might not be, maybe Man United fans might want more, might want younger, but she's not a bad signing to have in your squad in terms of when she's fully fit, what she's capable of doing up front. If she's not going to score, then she's going to certainly help, to build the attack and what have you. So I don't know. I think that's not such a bad signing, and she is capable of scoring against decent opposition in the WSL. But that's my opinion. But
yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I do think a lot of United's issues do come from. I mean, Mark even mentioned it: the grit, the determination. This kind of, I mean, I think he really went mad after we played City in the cup, and they beat us 4-1, and we were 1-0 up. We were dominating the game, and after half time, I just can't believe it. Sort of the way that they just scored 3 goals in quick succession. Even the Chelsea game, I know a lot of people are talking about the Sam Kerr goal and this goal and that goal, but for me, I think they were poor goals to concede. I just think that when Man United, when we concede, we just. I mean, I know a lot of people go upset over what Kenny Shields said about Northern Ireland, but when he said it, I thought of my team instantly. When he said, they concede and they concede again, that's the team I thought of. I thought of Manchester United. When we concede, I'm thinking, sugar, let's not concede another one now, guys. Come on. But I just feel like the heads go down, that they start to play within themselves. And then bang, you're not catching up again. After, we went in 2-1 up at Chelsea, and as soon as it went 2-2, I said, right, that's it, we've lost the game. And then bang, bang, bang. And I just thought, I don't know. I mean, maybe she might help a bit with that, but I do think that's a lot of, is that players maybe are very comfortable? I don't know. They're not getting pushed enough. Because I know when Brunn did come in, that's when we saw the best Leslie for me. So I don't know if it's sort of, they feel too comfortable in their position, that they feel like not happy, but they know that no one's going to press them. They're always going to play. And is that sort of why we don't see those high standards all the time?
I don't think it's the case, because when you're at full flow, I mean, Man United at full flow, it's such a hard-working team, especially when when the attack's working, you're flying forward. Galton, there's nothing like watching like Galton and Toon, and like you say, Alessia Russo, the way that the attack works, particularly with the set pieces as well. I don't think it's like players being comfortable or feeling that they're not being challenged. I think they push themselves. In addition to Mark Skinner, and then obviously Casey Stoney pushing them. When she was there, I think. I personally believe United are getting close. Like you say, it could be the 1 or 2 signings that will then push them forward. I don't think that. I just can't imagine United just dropping down the table and kind of like having this dip. I just feel that it's there. It's just 1 or 2 things that that might need to happen in order to push them into that top 3, because they were so close. Perhaps this was the closest. This season it was almost there, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? But I don't think it's a case of feeling, oh, you know what, this is my spot, no one's coming for me, because you can see the disappointment, particularly if they miss a clear-cut chance on goal. You can see it in their faces. But I think they're very, very committed and driven to wanting to get that team into Europe for the first time.
I mean, Danny L has just said, has Russo had any offers? And if we just go back to that tweet and stuff that Emma put out, she said no clubs approached. And I mean, my perspective of it, I don't know if you know any different, Sandra, but is that she's waiting to see what Man United do, and maybe sort of using the Euros to maybe boost herself as well. You're saying about they just want to get the Euros over with. I think it's a case with Alessia. Yeah, she wants to do it. She wants to show herself as top quality number 9, whether that's to other clubs or to Man United. But I just think, I don't know with Alessia. It's one of them where you just said to me, you think that we're not going to slip down, and I don't think we're going to slip down next season. I agree with you. I think the minimum we'll finish is 4. But if Alessia goes next year, if Jackie goes next year, if Honor goes next year, Vilda is coming into the last year, but she's got an option. But then, who knows? They didn't even really play Vilda. But that's when I start to worry, Sandra. If you can't convince Alessia Russo, Tooney and Alessia Russo, that's the song. That's the team. You should be building it around both of them. If you can't convince her to sign a new contract, and we're just hoping to keep her on an option, for me, that's the worry. That's the biggest worry, because like Honor, she's from Barcelona. Jackie, yeah, she might want to go back, but Alessia Jackie's a Man United fan as well, but Alessia is a Man United fan. Tooney's her best mate is there. They've got everything set up for her. That would be when that's the worry sinking in from that she's looking to be convinced. I mean, maybe she might be convinced. We don't know. It's a 1 year. They've got a year to convince her, but. Yeah, I mean, what's just your opinion on that? If they can't convince Alessia to stay,
well, it would be a shame because it's homegrown, isn't it? Like you say, the likes of 2 Man United fans. You've got Zellem, who's a United fan as well. You just it's that positive, that boost of having homegrown England players, like you say, who are fans of the club. It's I don't want to use that Arsenal term, but like a kind of having a British core in your team. It just helps, particularly when you've got the players in the team who are fans of the club. They really kind of like are influential on the others who might be from overseas, who in terms of understanding why what you're playing for, why you want to win for United and all of that. You kind of hope, I guess, for the club that you're able to retain that kind of talent, that kind of quality in your squad, particularly if you've got talented players who happen to be fans of United. But I mean, I guess in a way, I mean, might not be what United fans want to hear. It's an exciting season, so to speak, because it means the challenge really is on to try and get into that top 3. And you're lucky in a sense, and you've got a manager who's got experience previously from being in WSL of getting teams to perform above and beyond. So I mean, yeah, it might be a bit sort of a stressful season for United fans, but it could be a good one. It could be what you call pivotal, I suppose, in terms of the direction the club wants to go in. But I can see someone saying if she left, it'd be like Lauren James, but worse. But, yeah, I mean, you want to keep that kind of the British talent there, isn't it? Particularly if they've been there when United were in the Championship, been there on that journey. You just want to try and keep those talents at the club, I suppose. But I guess it's a wait and see
Yeah, I mean, just want to touch on this. I mean, Lauren, I think she left because of not just Chelsea or whatever, but that's where she's from. She's from London. I mean, I know Alessia's from London, but I think Lauren probably is a Chelsea fan or whatever. Alessia, it just feels different. Like you said, it's a girl who's, you know, Man United. Like if you ever meet her brothers and the dad, and you can tell that they bleed Man United. So to lose someone like that would just be a scandal, in my opinion. And yeah. I mean, Vicky, I don't know how much you know of Mark when he was at Birmingham. I just sort of don't really know. But Vicky's saying Mark seems to have better second season. So, I mean, what's your opinion on how he's done this season? Do you think it's better than maybe Casey, or do you think it's a bit of the same? And just can you see him getting the best out of them next year, like the proper best?
Well, considering it's his first season in, I think United did. And I mean, they'll say that they'll obviously the players probably would have wanted to finish in the top three, but I think he had a good season. It was quite in terms of him putting in his kind of style in terms of what he wants United to do and how he wants them to be on the pitch. You could see some of that, and they did have a good run in terms of or decent run right up, quite late on up in terms of that top three finish. You came quite close, so I think if he gets to do what he wants to do in the transfer market, I think it's United will push again for that place in the Champions League. I mean, you came so close, and Mark Skinner is doing a good job, I think, in terms of what you're doing on the pitch. It's just I suppose a little bit of fine tuning, and then you're there. But I think he's done a good job so far. I mean, what are your thoughts on his first season in?
It's sort of like a copy of the season before in a way, because I think we were sitting top for so long under Casey, and then towards the end we just dropped away. I don't know what reason. I don't know if it's fitness. I don't know what. But again, under Mark, it's like we were up top three for longer. But it's just, I mean, the games last year, Brighton, Reading, these are not games that you should be losing. Even if I look this year, West Ham, Aston Villa, it's beggars belief for me a bit, because in a way, we got points at Arsenal. We never done that before, really, actually, under Casey. So for me, that was a really big positive. We got the point at home to sit, but we did okay versus the big teams. But for me, I do think that if you can't beat all the teams, like I've just said, Reading, Brighton, West Ham, Villa, if you can't beat them, then you never get top three. Even if you went and beat everyone else, you need to beat West Ham and Aston Villa. That's what makes it just even worse, I think.
And I think that the challenge is also generally, like West Ham, for example, have gotten better as well. I mean, Ollie Harder's gone now, but they've improved. They bought well. They had a decent defender in Howard Sissoko at the back and what have you. And they're again hard-working team, and they finished higher than they did last season. They finished higher than they did the season before. So those teams that you think, you should be beating them, not necessarily as easy to beat as they used to be. And I guess that's what it is. It's just becoming more competitive. Well, you've got the top half of the table, but it's coming a bit more competitive, particularly when you've got teams like yourselves, like Tottenham, who are kind of like pushing higher up and are looking for that, to finish, in that top three area. So it's, I know what you mean. It must be frustrating for United, because you're thinking, Aston Villa, we should be getting all those 3 points. But then you look at how someone like Carla Ward might set them up hard to beat. You look at what happened with Villa and that Chelsea game, when I think Chelsea had to get his injury time before Sam Kerr got the goal and got the winner, because Aston Villa just held out for so long. So it's, the teams are becoming harder to beat as the league is becoming, slightly more competitive.
And I mean, Vicky's saying we need to finish teams off when we're on top, and I do think that happens. I feel like we have really good spells, and that's when we need to get all our goals, because then if we don't really seem to then not like have an idea, but I don't know. And I mean, what's your view, Sandra? A
It's
lot of
like that.
fans have been
Yeah, the West Ham game,
frustrated.
isn't it?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
West
yeah.
Ham,
We
that where
went
you're
1-0
one
up.
nil.
Yeah.
Literally, it came so close, and then yeah, that it's just the late equaliser. And it's just I get what you mean when you just you need to be put the team away, put them to bed, and then it's like if you can hold out and I guess defend. But I think the good thing is that's happened last season. I think those things will probably be ironed out, and if Mark Skinner is able to do what he can in the transfer market or what he wants, then maybe you will be seeing United put a team to bed and just get those 3 points without having a late injury time goal. End up with them missing out on the points, the 3 points that they should be earning.
I mean, Vicky's saying defend better or score more, but it's probably both. It is both, Vicky. We need to do both. We need to be going 2-3-0 up, and then if they come back and get one, at least you've still got, I know it's not great, but you've got your little cushion there, Everton, we went there. We were both in dire straits, but we just sort of, I mean, I don't even know how they score. We just sort of let them score. We just said, kick it in the back of the net. But no, it is what it is. It is frustrating as a fan. You watch, you travel everywhere. It was late night that West Ham one, and it was just. It's one of those things, though, Sandra. I felt it in my stomach. I felt it was coming. And I've watched this team for 4 years now, and I could just tell we were going to concede because when we got the goal and we were all celebrating, and then the standard just dropped off, and it just was like, whoa, 10 men behind the ball, and it's like, come on, man. But the one question I just want to ask you, what's your view on the way Mark has used his squad this season? Because I know people are frustrated; they want to see more of Vilda Borisa. For me, I think that she's one of the best players in our squad. I feel like a game like Villa, she would have come on. I mean, she played the first Villa game when we beat them 5-0. She played when we won versus Spurs and she scored the first goal. For me, she's the best for those kind of games. She's like the key. I don't know if you were at the Brighton game, weren't you, when she scored? I think, yeah. And God, she was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, and she was playing loads, and then suddenly, bang, we just didn't see her again. And then he says, I trust all my players. But it's like, well, where's Vilda? Why is she not playing anymore? Like, what's going on? So just, I suppose, your view on that and what's going on.
Well, I hope to see, next season we see more of Vilda Borisa. Like you said, at that Brighton game, I thought she was really, really impressive in terms of how she was driving forwards and, linking up the attack. Just, she was really good. I mean, that game, that was probably one of the best performances I saw from Man United last season, just in terms of you're all over Brighton. But you hope to see more of her next season. I was quite impressed with the January transfer window. I mean, I think you had a little bit of bad luck with Senior Brun with her injuries. I think if she stayed fully fit, maybe would have seen something different. It might have, and it may, who knows, it might have made a difference in terms of where United finished, last season. So I hope to see more of Vilda Borisa next season in terms of what she can do in the midfield and what have you. And then, I mean, what are you hoping to see more of her next?
Vilda would play. I'd be like Lanzell. Yeah. For me, I'd get what Lanzell's saying. Tooney's probably the best 10, but I want to see Tooney and Vilda. That's what I want to see. I want to see Vilda playing more. I just don't understand why she's not playing. Here's a question for you, I'm guessing. Who's the most important player for Man United women in the midfield and defence? Would you say, Sandra?
It's a bit hard. I'm gonna. I'll say Ella Toon.
Say it.
Ella Toon. Yeah, I mean, just very strong on the ball as well. She's quite a tough one on the ball. Hard to push her off the ball. Just the freedom she has when she's the freedom she has in attack and just her movement, positioning is very good. I think she's so important for United in terms of linking up midfield and attack. And I mean, Leah Gorton I thought was really good last season as well. I can't believe she was playing as a fullback at some points, but Mannion's good. Yeah, absolutely.
Manny and the only one I want to touch on as well, Millie Turner. I think that when she came back in for that Brighton game. And Chris, I do see your question. I'm going to come to it, but she came back into that Brighton game, and for me, then when she was injured, it was just like it was like thing. I mean, no, lad, listen, ladinator always. I mean, lad scored in that girl. I mean, it's a strange one, remark, because I think we did so well in that period, and then suddenly I think maybe Millie going out affected it, but and then Mannion was injured.
Yeah, I think those are big misses. Those are big misses. Definitely. Yeah, the you know, in terms of their organisational skills and their positioning and everything, they're huge misses. From your squad.
I mean, what do you know, Sandra? I am going to come to Chris and about the track, and I am going to do that. But what do you know? I suppose there was a load of injury crisis, wasn't there, under Casey? And it seems like maybe not as big under Mark, but there still was that little. And I mean, I suppose you can't account for an ACL, you can't account for Millie. It was like an artery in the neck. But then, like we say about Cena had injuries. I mean, to be fair, Tooney lasted the whole season. Alessia lasted the whole season. But there was Ladd at the start. There was Staniforth. There was Jackie at the start. So you would think if they just stayed fit all throughout the whole season. I mean, did anyone ever ask? Have you ever heard Mark talking about his injury crisis or what the reasons were? Or
I don't think he's
from your point of view,
an excuse for the losses and things like that. And I don't, I don't think he's ever used those injuries as these. I mean, those when you lose players of that quality, it does have an impact. It's good to have them there, just in terms of the depth as well. I don't think he's ever used or use that as an excuse for why United might not be where he might want them to be. But like you say, the likes of Millie Turner and Ethan Mannion, Hayley Ladd are so important. So if they're back and if they're fully fit, that really does make the difference to the squad. And who knows, if you had all of your players fit this season, maybe things might have been slightly different again in terms of not just the league, but then in terms of maybe where United might have been in terms of cup competitions.
Chris has brought this up. I don't know if you want to go first, any other clubs, but listen, it says only one for United at the top, Chris, so you're lucky. I like you. I
mean, I just know about obviously Adriana Leon and just the interest from Spain in her, but then also from obviously from clubs here. So I couldn't tell you about the transfer rumours of other teams. Sorry, Chris.
I mean, all I've heard is that Villa have got 5 players, and that's what Emma put out.
Yeah.
I've heard potentially Leicester are doing bits. I don't know if it's no, I'd say it. I've heard Carrie Jones to Leicester, maybe on loan only. Yeah, I've not really heard from other clubs. I mean, Brighton seems to be maybe doing things under the radar. I think what you said about lots of teams doing things under the radar is going to happen. I'm hearing Birmingham might be doing some good business as well. Like maybe Martha Harris will go Leicester or Birmingham. That's what I've heard. And she's just left Man United, so that'll be a good scoop for them.
Yeah,
I mean
go ahead.
No, just your views on what I've heard. I mean, I suppose you just heard things, don't you, Sandra? I mean, you talked about it. If I hear it, I'll tell you, but that doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, look at with Lucy Bronze, for example, no one knew about that. That was all kept so quiet. So there probably are many others that are doing the same, just keeping their, business to themselves if they can. And like you say, with the tournament going on, it's a case of trying to. For some clubs, it might just be sitting on it and then just announcing after. But I think there'll be a lot of things maybe perhaps announced after the Euros, more so because I guess players don't want to be distracted by gossip around transfers with that tournament going on.
I definitely think that's the case. I think we're not going to hear anything now.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, like representatives, maybe before and things were, we're hearing about Katoto. She might be going to Leon, but they're all saying if it's going to be announced, they want it announced before, and that's what I think is going to happen. I think, well, even Vicky's saying, no one's going to run around and ask over transfers now when the Euros is basically in 2 weeks, 13 days, however many days, the focus is going to be all on that now. And yeah, we'll still do if we hear little things, like I've just said. I've heard little things here and there, but Chris is a Villa fan, so unfortunately I don't think you're going to hear about the 5 names. I think probably Villa will sit on them until it all comes out, really. I know Lanzel's saying the quietness he doesn't trust, but we had Rich on the show. No one trusts this, but no one, men, women, no one trusts. Yeah. We had Rich on the show last week, and he sort of was very confident that the business has been done. And, I do think, yes, there might have been names that we're overawed with, but I think if they've done those first names and then they're going to do more towards the end. I mean, look how they did the January. You sort of said it, didn't you? It was exciting, and I can see us doing it again.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? Because that got a lot of traction, didn't it? It got a lot of headlines. So
I mean, it's quite impressive.
They love the headlines.
The quality, experienced players like I say, Diane Caldwell, Jade Moore, Senior. That's a decent, transfer window and what have you. So, I mean, obviously, Senior Breen wasn't fully fit for the whole time during a loan spell, but yeah, it could be a case of that kind of thing happening, and maybe United might be making more use of loans if there is this kind of, if it is you're competing with clubs that are just paying more, then the loans might be the best option, isn't it? Because if you can get a quality loan signing, it can make all the difference in terms of that push to try and break in to the top 3 and get Champions League football. So, but yeah, it wouldn't be surprised me if you had a similar situation again with United, where it's 3 signings out of the blue that maybe the fans aren't expecting. But at the same time, I don't think, for example, if the club were to sign someone like Rachel Williams, I don't think that would be I think that'd be actually quite a decent addition in terms of, squad depth. I know some United fans might not necessarily be very excited, but she's quality, and very experienced as well, which is good.
It's a tough one, that one. I mean, Lanzel, he's just no. I don't think I do feel sorry for her, because I don't think Man United fans are saying it like we don't like her or she's not a nice person. I'm sure she's a fantastic person. I'm sure she'll give her all, but it is kind of, I don't know, it's just, disheartening when, I heard her. I don't think this is where she's going, but, City were apparently linked to Katoto, and it just sort of puts it into a perspective. And I just think, I mean, this is where a lot of fans are upset right now, Sandra, because I think we were promised a 5-year plan, and we were going to do this and we were going to do that. And then obviously, Casey has left, but it just doesn't seem like it's on track to that. I mean, Harry's saying it's not a top 3 signing, and that's not convinced. Lancel's saying he's a supporter, but he's just not. It's just, from when we started in 2018 to where we are now, it's not where I think Man United fans thought we would be, and that's the disappointment in it. I mean, what's your opinion?
I think you're coming close. I just think wait and see what happens this season before and what happens in terms of, like you say, player contracts, where you are at the end of next season, should I say? I think finishing 4th and 4th it's progress in the sense, considering you came up from the Championship, you're getting closer, and I think. Yeah, you'd be disappointed if, yes, say for example, next term you drop down, you're finishing, 7th or 8th. But I think wait and see what happens next season, and particularly what happens closer to transfer deadline day, before being too disheartened in terms of progress. I mean, I think as you wait and see, and we'll see how things pan out next season, because you were close. It's just, I guess, like you say, and also your manager's only been in for one season, so I think Mark needs to be given a bit more time to do what he wants to do in terms of the transfers, and also, and what he wants to do next for next season for the club. I think just see how things go next season before being completely kind of.
Yeah, I think he spoke very well towards the end of the season, Mark, and he did win a lot of people around. I just think these current links aren't are pushing them away. Yeah. Dennis, more upset, just expecting it is what it is, reluctantly. Feels like the window's open for years, but it's only open. Yeah, no one's
last Friday. It closes on the 8th of September.
Yeah.
So
I don't think anyone's really like expecting like us to have signed 10 players by now. And I just think City had to do it to appease fans. Whereas I think we've done all right. And whether they're working on contracts, and I think that's what it is. I think it's the quietness of it, the not communicating with fans, that then leads to, and that's something that I think, but on the men's side as well, they need to be a bit more transparent with things, because it does lead to then a build up in frustration. But let's see. Mark said, I mean, there was an interview that came out the other day, unfortunate timing, but it was Mark saying, let's not think about fourth. Let's think about going unbeaten for the whole WSL. And I just thought, that's you're not going to fool anyone with that one, Mark. But Sandra, thank you for coming on. I don't know if there's anything else that you think, I want to talk about this, I want to add in this, or is there? I mean, I know you just said everyone should be patient, and I do agree, but patient to a point. But let's see with Rachel Williams if it does happen. Lancel, Mark Goings for the title with Rachel Williams. He's not convinced at all. But yeah, Vicky, sustainability or stagnation? That's the question. That's the question for me. But yeah, Sandra, thank you. Is there any final points that you want to make? Just for everyone watching, there's quite a few people watching, and I'm sure people will watch later as well.
Just wait for deadline day. Don't wait for the because we'll just wait and see what happens closer to September. I don't. And after the Euros, I think. Yeah.
And do you think it's going to be a good WSL next year? Do you think it's going to be?
I think with the new players that have come into certain clubs, I think with teams like yourself and Tottenham pushing the so-called the established top three harder, I think it will be a good season. Next season, I think it's just getting more competitive. So that's good to see. Keep
us posted, and for the fan before, I think it's Chris. Look, there's a transfer rumor for you. I think it's maybe done now. Way to Real Madrid, madness. But thank you so much, guys. We're gonna wrap it up. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it. Drop a like on the video. Thank you so much, Sandra, for coming on. I know you said that you might not have enough, but I think it was a really good show. Really good debate. So thank you so much.
No worries. I hope you have a good evening, Natalie.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for coming on. Appreciate it.
Bye.
So, bye.